Hey, hi, good afternoon. Let's start. So, till now, we have covered some basics, like we have almost covered NumPy. There are so many other topics as well in data science, but obviously, for this, we will complete today the NumPy along with exercise so that you get the hands-on experience working with the codes. And at the end I will share, and I will share the I mean the problem statement for the project with you, but I will just explain quickly what is the project and what is the expectation from you. And along with that, I'll also give you one brief example of how you are supposed to code and what exactly you are supposed to build, right? And I think in previous class also I gave a brief of like what is your project. So house price prediction project, which is a very basic project. I think one of the first project that people usually build when they start working with the in this machine learning data science domain. But before that, let's just complete NumPy and complete the exercise along with the um, basics, and after that we can move to the okay. So like the first topic is NumPy indexing and selection. I think we have already covered NumPy indexing and selection for 1D, 2D, 3D arrays. We know that how can we do the selections and indexing. We have also seen range indexing. For example, here instead of one element you want to select a range of element. That also we have seen. I will start index, end index, and then step size. So we have covered all these, bracket indexing and selection and everything. This one is broadcasting. I think in previous class we discussed the concept of broadcasting, and in case of broadcasting, we have seen copy, view and copy. In order to when we want to create a copy of an existing array. So broadcasting is something when you want to make the changes in multiple values at the same time. So there you can simply select the indexing and you can broadcast the value. Okay. Uh, I think the slice array also we have discussed. So you create a slice of array. If this array that is being created is basically copy by view, so it is both like array and slice of array are sharing the same index. So if you are making changes in one, it will reflect into the other as well. Okay. So I think these things we have already completed. Array dot copy, that is also we have seen in yesterday's class. The second is indexing in 2D array. I think this one also we have covered. So in 2D array, whenever we are making any selection, first we pass which row number, and the second argument is tells you which column number, right? So if you print everything, it will, or if you're just printing the name, so it will print the whole array, this whole array. Now here you know that in case of 2D array, the first argument is your row number, right? And since here we have not specified the column number, what will happen, it will print this whole row, this first row. So here this is your zeroth row, this is your first row, right? So since we are not passing the column number, it will print this whole row. And here you can see in the example also, this is printing your whole row. Now if you want to select any individual number, that also you can do. You can pass the row number and then you can pass the column number. So row is 1 and column is 0, so this 20 will be selected, right? You can also make the selection like this. Instead of passing like in two different brackets, you can keep it inside one single bracket and separate by this comma. Now the next one is, I think we have seen similar to slicing, indexing, and all. So here also in 2D array, what you are doing, you want to select from the first. I mean, this first one is your row basically. This first one is your row, and this second one is your column, right? So this row you want to start from the beginning, so it will start from the zeroth index, and since 2 is not included, so 0 and 1, both the rows will be selected. And here in column you can see we want to start from the first column and go all the way till the last column, right? So it will select your, so this was your original matrix, right? Since you're selecting from the start till this first one, because 2 is exclusive, so this whole, these two rows will be selected. Now in this these two rows, these two rows you want to select from the first column, right? So this one, from the first column till the end, so this 10, 15, 25, and 30 will be selected. And here you can see in the output, okay, you have selected. So this is how you can do the selections and indexings on the 2D array, right? And here you can see that we have not passed the column number, so it will select this complete row. Again here, if you want to select second row, and for the second row you want to select all the columns, you can also pass like this, right? So I think all these things we have already covered. uh, there's one point which is conditional search. In conditional search, what you are doing, you want to select only those elements which are satisfying our condition. This we have covered in Python also. In Python, I mean, similar to Python, whatever elements will satisfy our condition will be printed. Okay, for example, take this one. Okay, let's start from the beginning. So what we have done, we have created a range, I mean a list, numpy array by using this arange function. It will start from 1 till the 10, and this list has been created using this function. Now you are checking, like print all the values which are greater than 4, right? So these first 4 will print false because these are not satisfying the condition, right? So you can see we are getting false, 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 and for the remaining we are getting true, right? Now you are storing this inside this boolean array. What you are doing, nothing, just storing this condition inside this boolean array. Now if you print this boolean array, this will be same as what we have done here. Now you are passing this condition inside this array, right? Inside this array. So now it will select only those elements from this array which are satisfying, which are true, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, these four numbers were false. So these are not going to be printed here because this array will only take those elements which are true. So since 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, these are true, it will be printed, it will get printed here. Now the second one here, it was like, we created this conditional just to show you like how this whole conditions work. But actually when you will write the code, and you don't need to do all these steps, I mean you don't need to create first condition and then passing the condition inside some different variable and then passing those variable inside this array. Instead of doing that, you can simply pass the condition inside the array, right? So you want, from the array you want only those which are greater than 2. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, these are greater than 2, so it will be printed here. Now here, as you can see that x is equal to 2, it will check that okay, all the elements which are greater than 2 will be printed, similar to what we had here. So sometimes, I mean, different ways of writing the same thing. But if, like, in selections and indexing, if you want to select some values based on some condition, that you can do by using this way. I think we have covered this indexing part. Let's see some arithmetic. So in the first lecture of NumPy, I explained you that NumPy is something on which the calculation, the mathematics is very fast as compared to the traditional Python list. So if you have to perform any kind of operations, we have so many functions here, right? So like suppose you want to find what is the square root or what is the log of something, what is the exponential of something. For all these such operations, we have functions in this NumPy, right? So here we will see everything one by one. So first of all, if you want to add these, we have created one array 0 to 9, and then you want to add two arrays, right? So 0 plus 0, 0, 1 plus 1, 2, 2 plus 2. So you can directly add. Uh, and if you want to perform any multiplication, that also you can do. Subtraction also you can do. If you want to divide, you can directly divide. Okay. Now you want to find one by array. So for all the values you can do this directly. I mean, all kind of arithmetic can be done directly in this, like, whatever array you have created, you can directly perform the operation on the array, and it will be reflected in all the elements, like, or for all the elements the operation will be performed. So here, like, you want to find cube of all the numbers, so that also you can do. So you can directly write array, and on this array you can write this star star and three, and this way you will be able to print the cube of all the elements, right? Uh, Now here some of the functions. So first one is your square root. If you want to find the square root of all the elements, you can simply use this function, square root. If you want to find the exponential, you can use this exponential function. If you want to perform the sine operation, maybe cos operation, that also you have, for that also you have functions. Okay, so find any, in order to perform any complex operation you have functions, and you can use those functions to perform the operations. Here log also. So um, and also we have some additional functions, for example sum. So if, like, for all the elements you want to perform, you have, like, here from 0 to 9 you have 9 elements, and you want to sum all these elements, so we directly have a function as array dot sum, and this will sum up all the values for you, right? So you don't need to perform, you don't need to go one by one, like in a for loop, and you're summing up everything. You don't need to do this manually. You can directly use this sum function, and it will basically sum all the values inside this array. Now, if you want to find the mean value, that also you can do using this mean function. And in this array, you want to find which is the maximum value. For that, we have this max function, right? I think in previous class also we have seen we have this max function, we have min function, we have, if we want to find the index of the maximum value, we have the I mean argmax function. In order to find the index of the minimum value, we have this argmin function. So we can use all these built-in function to perform the complex operation in NumPy, right? Okay, so here are some more details. Like, for example, you want to perform the minimum, you want to find the variance of all the elements, or maybe standard deviation of all the elements. All such complex operation can be performed directly by using the functions that is already available in this NumPy, right? Okay, now this access logic. Access is something, basically we, what happens whenever you are coding, or you are maybe working with some data, and maybe you want to select a single row, or maybe you only want to work maybe vertically or maybe horizontally. For that you can pass the access, uh, and this access will, what if, I mean, if you're passing zero axis, it means you are taking it vertically. So, and if you are passing one, it means you're talking about horizontal axis, right? So zero is your vertical axis and one is your horizontal axis. So we will read, when working with two-dimensional array, we have to consider row and column, and this becomes very important when we get to the section of pandas. There is one more library called pandas. So in pandas, whenever we are working with row and column, so it is very important. And in arrays terms, axis 0 is the vertical axis. So this is your vertical 0, and axis 1 is your horizontal axis. Okay, so if you're writing, for example, here in example you can see we are passing it as axis 0. So axis 0 means vertical, right? And if you're passing axis 1, it means horizontal. Let me take an example. So first, Okay, here as you can see that what we have done, we have created a 2D array. In this 2D array, we have three rows and four columns, right? I will print this for you. Now suppose I am performing some operation. For example, I want to sum everything, and in this sum, I want to do vertical sum, like all the columns adding up and creating a value. For example, the first column, that it will be 1 plus 5, 6 plus 9, 15, right? So this 15 will be printed, then for the second column, 18 will be printed, then the third column. Okay, like this, we want to sum everything, but axis we want 0. So if we want to perform the vertical sum, for that we will pass the axis as 0, right? So you can see that a vertical sum is coming up as the answer. Now suppose if we want to perform this sum but horizontally, like every row is getting sum up. So for example, so for that we can simply pass, instead of 0 we can pass this one, and here you can see that we are getting three output. Why? Because we have three rows and the sum of every row, like first row, the sum of first row is 10, the sum of second row is 26, and the sum of third row is 42. Okay, so this is the use of basically access. So like whenever you'll work with the data and you want to perform some operation on maybe vertical operation, or then you can pass x is equal to 0 if you want to perform some operation horizontally. So you can pass this x is as 1. Now the next one is shape. This we have already discussed, and here, uh, yeah, it is passing x is equal to 1. So it will perform the sum of uh, like row wise sum. It will perform because we are passing x is as 1, right? So with this, I think we have completed this NumPy. We will complete the exercise, whatever, and then we can move to the project part, right? So I think yesterday we completed. Hmm, okay, I think we completed till this point. Okay, let's start with this ninth question. I'll read the question for you, and you can start writing the answers, like in chat box, in your chat. So your this ninth question is, use NumPy to generate a random number between 0 to 1, between the 0 and 1. Okay. So yesterday we discussed a different random methods like randint, randn. So just see which random function is suitable to generate the random number between 0 to 1. Okay, and use that function to generate this random number. And yeah, remember one thing, obviously since the number is random, it is not going to be same as this output, maybe some other random number, but you just have to make sure that whatever number is being printed, it is within the range of 0 to 1. Okay, so just write the code for this one. Divyant, why you are passing this 1, 2, 3, 4? Just remember that we have to uh, generate a single random number, and the range should be between 0 to 1. Okay, so choose the function accordingly, because I mean, okay, I can see that most of you have given the answer and you have selected this rand function, right? np.random.rand. Okay. Okay, so you can see that we have written np.random.rand, and this will generate a random number for you, right? You can, again, we can run this cell multiple times, and every time it will give some random number within the range of 0 to 1. Okay, so this rand function is used to generate between 0 to 1, right? Okay, now let's move to the next question. And here you are expected to, like, use NumPy to generate an array of 25 random numbers sampled from a standard normal distribution, right? And your result values should be different from the ones shown below. So as I have already explained in the previous question, your random numbers are going to be different, but you have to write the logic for that, like which random function, which method of this random you are going to use to generate the random, like 25 random numbers, and which will follow this standard normal distribution. Okay, so we have seen that we had different methods to generate random numbers. So which one we use to generate standard normal distribution? Basically, which function follows this standard normal distribution to generate the random numbers? Okay. So random is basically used to generate positive integers like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, not the negative and uh, float kind of number. It basically generates the integer number which do not have the decimal values. And it is rand int, not rand it. Okay, int. Okay, I can see most of you have used this rand n function, which is correct. So you can directly use this function. Let me just write this random dot rand n, and inside this you can pass how many numbers you want to generate. So since we want to generate 25 number, it has uh, generated 25 random numbers using this standard normal distribution, right? Okay, let's move to the next one. So you have to create a matrix like this, which so in yesterday class we discussed, like, suppose we want to generate 20 numbers but within the range of 0 to 1. So how the equal distribution can be done, right? So for that logic you have to use, and as we can see that the number, so here we have 100 numbers. It means we want to generate 100 numbers, and those numbers are going to be, like, within the range of 0 to 1. So how can you generate that? Okay, Aditya, I'll share the details, like project details, at the end of this lecture, and also Anna will share the detailed problem statement with you regarding the project. Okay. So what you guys are doing, you are basically using this A range to generate all the numbers. You have also given the start and end, end values, and also the step size, and then you have reshaped it into this 2D matrix by using this reshape function, right? Okay. Kavya has given she has given two solutions. The first one is similar to what we have discussed. Okay, reshaping, and then the next one is, okay, so basically within the range of, okay, so what she has done, basically she's using this line space function, which will generate everything between the range of 0.01 till 1, and the number of distributions are going to be like 100 numbers are going to be within this range. And then she has reshaped this using this reshape function. Okay, let's Okay, Divyansh, in your solution, you have given like 0.01 to till 1, and you know that, by default, the step size is 1, right? So, do you think this A range will generate all the numbers that you want? Like, 100 numbers within the range of this 0 to 1. Do you think so? This will do this line basically? You think so that this will do the work for you? Okay, now we can see. First, if we can directly use this line space function, right? And in this function, what we can do, we can simply pass whatever is the starting value and then the ending value, and then the step size, since the step size is 0.01, right? Sorry, not the step size. We want to generate 100 numbers. And this one we can reshape into 10 matrix, so 10 rows and 10 columns, right? Let's run this. Okay. So first is this line space function, which I think Kavya uh, gave the solution. So by using this line space, you can directly generate 100 numbers within this range, and then she has reshaped it. The second solution that you most of you have given is the A range solution, right? Let me check this A range and within the 0.01 and 1.01. Okay. Okay, so this is the second solution. So what you guys have done, given the starting value, then the ending value. Since this A range, this ending value is exclusive in nature, so we have given a value one step ahead of this, like the ending value that we need, which is 1 in our case, and then the step size is 0.01, right? And we have also reshaped this. Now, if we talk about both the solution, then in this solution, you will need to check many things. For example, what is the starting value, what is the ending value, then what is the step size and everything. But if we use the line, the previous solution, that line space solution, here you just need to pass the starting value and ending value, and since you want 100 values, so you can pass the 100 and it will automatically do it for you. You don't need to see the step size and everything, so you just pass the start and end value and how many numbers you want to generate within this range, and it will do the work for you, right? So this would have been easier in terms of complexity. Now the next question is this one. Create an array of 20 linearly spaced points between 0 and 1. Okay? I'll give the solution for this one. Just ahead, for this one also you can use the line space. Okay? Yes, and np dot line space and then starting and ending value, and this you want to distribute, like equally distribute 20 times, right? Yes, so this is the correct solution. Let's np starting is 0, right? Ending is 1, and you want to generate 20 numbers between this. So this will generate 20 equally distance numbers for you within this range. Okay, let's move to this. uh, so you have to generate numbers like from 1 to 25, right? And 2D matrix basically. So how can you generate, how what code you will write for this? So you have to generate numbers from 1 to 25, and then you have to create 2D matrix for this, and every row we are going to have 5 rows and 5 columns. Okay, so it means the dimensions are going to be 5 into 5. Generate a matrix like this. Okay, and then we will perform this indexing operation on this. Just do it quickly because we don't have much time. So basically what we can do, we can simply, instead of writing this, we can write as np.a range, and within that range we can pass like from 1 to 26, and it will generate 1 to 25 numbers for you, and you can reshape it by using 5 into 5. You can pass 5, 5. Okay, so that will create a 2D matrix like this for you. Okay, now on these matrix, what we are supposed to do, uh, sorry. Okay. Now the first question is be careful not to reduce output as shown below. Okay. Now you have to do some indexing. Now tell me what row and what column you will select so that the answer will be like this. Okay. So this is my matrix. Uh, Tell me what row and what column should I pass here so that this portion I can select, like these two row and these three columns: 12, 13, 14, 15, and 17, 18, 19, 20, and 22, 23, 24, 25. Basically these three. Okay. Okay, someone has given two row and one column. Okay, let's see. So you want to start from second row till the end, and then you want to start from first column, right? Okay. So you can simply pass the row and starting column, and this will cover everything because we are going all the way till the end. Now tell me, how can I generate something like this? Remember, this is the array, this is the matrix we have, and we have to generate something like this. Like we want to select only this 2, 7, and 12. How can we do that? Let me. Okay, first, I think I skipped this one. First, write the code for this so that we can select this 20. Tell me which row and which column. Third one, fourth column. Okay. Okay. So this is done. Now you have to select this 2, 7, and 12. You can see this is the original matrix. How can you do this? How can you select this, these three rows and only this one, this column? Tell me what should I write here? This is my original matrix. Someone has written starting from this till the third. Okay, let's see. So you want to select 0, 1 and 2 row. And for the column, you want to select first column, right? Let's run this one. Sorry. Okay. What are we doing wrong? Okay. Okay, since we are selecting this zeroth row, first row, and second row. Okay, so it should be like start from 0 and in the 0, 1, 2, so 3. And for the column, we are only selecting a single column, so we can pass it like maybe this. This should work. I don't know what wrong we are doing. We can leave it, but yeah, this is the correct solution. There might be something wrong we are doing, but one. Okay. Leave it. Let's move to the next one, which is write the code that produce the output shown below. So basically, you are expected to print this row. Okay. So 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. So how can I select this particular row? Let's tell me what should I write here. Okay, matrix 4. You guys are saying matrix 4. Yeah. Let's move to the next one, which is this one. So we have to select two rows basically here. So this third row and this fourth row. Tell me how can we select this? Okay. So you guys are saying 3 to 5. Let's see. Okay. Yeah, it is working fine. So we have selected these two rows. Okay. So this is how you can, you know, uh, see how indexing works. Okay, in 2D arrays. Now let's move to some standard function. NumPy operation we have seen some square root, standard for the standard deviation we have seen a function, std function, then min, max, and all these functions. We will see some of the operations which we can perform on the NumPy directly. Okay. So first you have to get the sum of all the values in mat. So this mat that we have created, this matrix, you have to perform the sum of all the values. Okay, this matrix that we have created. So just write the code so that we can sum all the values here from this matrix. Mat sum. Okay. Kavya has given mat sum. Divyansh has given the answer for the standard deviation. Okay. Empty dot sum. Okay. So if you're writing np.sum, then np is what? Like numpy.sum. So where you are passing this mat, I mean, how this function will know that it has to do the summation of matrix, this mat variable. Yes, you can directly do the mat sum. So this mat and then perform the sum. Okay. So this way you will be able to perform the summation of all the values, right? Now suppose I want to do the summation vertical, like this vertically I want to do the summation. So what changes I need to do in this one? Suppose I want to do the vertical sum, like first column, then second column, then third column, like all the column wise I sum I want. So what exact changes I need to make here in this code, this math sum code? So this sum function you have done used this sum function to do the summation of all the values, right? Now instead of all the values, I want to do the summation vertically summation. Like, so what exact changes I need to do in this code? No, Divyansh. This column is for the selection. Yes, Kavya. So Kavya has used this axis parameter. So yes, this is correct. So if you have to perform something vertically, you pass this axis is equal to 0. And if you have to perform something horizontally, you pass this axis value as 1, right? So we can do this axis is equal to 0. If we do this, what will happen? We will get the summation vertically. Now if we pass instead of 1, we pass this, like instead of 0 we pass this 1, then we get the summation horizontally. Like for example, this first row summation, this one, and then the second row, and then the third row. So this vertical summation we got here if we pass the axis as well. Okay. Now tell me, if I want to perform the standard deviation of this matrix, which function I can use? Mat standard deviation. Yes, correct. So I can directly use the standard deviation function. I don't need to perform any complex calculation. I can simply pass this function and it will generate the standard deviation of all the values inside this matrix, right? Okay, let's move to the next one. In this one, we have to write the code to get the sum of all the columns in the matrix. Okay, what we have discussed here. Similarly, similar thing you have to do vertically. Tell me, like for all the column, you have to perform the sum. How can you do that? Yes, correct. So we can simply write mat dot sum and axis, and in this axis, since we want to perform the summation vertically means column wise, we can pass 0, right? And if we have to perform horizontally, then we can pass 1. Okay. Now the last one is a bonus question. We have seen that we can generate random numbers. Now tell me, if we have to ensure that the same random number is being generated every time, what can we use? I think I discussed one of the function. So which function I can use to generate the same number again and again? Okay, so this random will help me to generate a random number, but this random number will generate a different number every time I run this, right? I want to generate the same number every time. Okay, so Kavya has written np.random.seed. Yes, this is correct. So if we want to make sure that the same number is being generated every time, we can simply use this seed. Okay, and this will help us to generate the same number. So for example, if I pass maybe np.random.seed, and inside this maybe 42, and I generate some random number. For example, this one I am generating an integer number. If I run this one, you can see that is generating a single, I mean zero, and every time I run this cell, this will generate the same number for me. So how is it possible? It is possible with the help of this seed function. Okay. So with this, I think we have completed our session today, and I'll just quickly give you a brief of the uh, project. So your project is the housing pricing project. Okay. This is a very simple project in which you will have some, details of let's see data. So this is how you are going to get the data. Uh, So maybe you are going to have like what is the area, how many bedrooms we have, what is the price, how many bathrooms we have, like all the details of different houses and their price. Okay. Now based on this whole data set, and I will share the data set with you. So you have to analyze that data set. Then what you are expected to do, just read this data set. I'll just show you a very some basic codes, how exactly you can do in Python in machine learning. We have this function, we have this library called pandas, and this pandas can be used to read the CSV files. Okay, most of the time the data sets are in this CSV format. So in order to read the CSV, we use this dot read function, and after reading the CSV, we have used this dot head function to see what all data we have. It is showing us that okay, we have the area is there, bedroom, we have three bedrooms, two bathrooms, and the price is this. After this, what exactly we have, features and target is something that we are predicting. For example, here price is being predicted, right? So that is our target, and the remaining are our features. Okay, so by using these features we have to predict the target. Once you have seen what all data you have, you can simply split this data into x and y axis. Basically, in x you are keeping all the features, and inside this y you are keeping all the target values. Okay, here target is price, so we have kept this target in y. Now the next step is to split this data. So in machine learning we directly have this function, you don't need to do it explicitly. So we can directly use this test and train split, and inside this you can pass what input features you have, what is the target you have, and also you can pass your test size, and you can pass your test size. Since here we are passing 0.2, it means 20% of the data is going to be test data, and the remaining 80% are going to be uh, your you know uh, training data, basically on the data on which you will train your model. And then once you have splitted your data, you can simply train your model. Here we are using this linear regression. You can use some other model as well. If we have multiple model like classification model, random forest, many xyz model, you can use anyone. Here for this purpose we are using this linear regression model, and inside this model I have created an object of this model, and then use this fit method of this model, and inside this we have passed the train data. Okay, you can see we are passing all the features, and then we are also passing the target. So how this model will work, it will see okay, these are the features, based on these features this is the target value. So it will create some pattern in the data, it will find some pattern in the data, and then it will learn from your data. And once you will pass the testing data to this model, like whatever pattern it has figured out from the existing like training data, it will use the same pattern on your testing data. Okay, it will use the same on your testing data, and do the prediction for you. And then we also have multiple evaluation metrics like precision, recall. Here we are using mean squared error. uh, so all these evaluation models can be used to predict to predict the performance of your model, right? So this is the basic overview of the project. This is exactly what you're supposed to do. Just read the data, read the data set. The data sets are going to have different features and target values. So just evaluate that, do some pre-processing. Maybe the data is not very perfect. You might need to do some elimination. Maybe you might need to add some values. So do all those things. Then just split your data into testing and train your model on the training data, and then check what is the accuracy of your here, I mean, in the example, we are taking this mean square value and R square. Instead of that, you can also use precision and recall to evaluate your model, like how your model is performing, right? I hope the project is clear. What is the final output we have to show? So Kavya, if I give any features to your model, like these many bedrooms I have, these many bathrooms I have, it should be able to predict the price. Okay, so you have to basically create a model which will take some features, and based on those features, it should be able to predict the price of your house. So if I give the locality, if I give the these many bedrooms I have, so this was the pricing of this area. So using all such information, it should be able to predict for some unseen data, right? Yeah. Okay. I hope project is clear. If you have any question in the project, you can ask. Okay. Aditya, so like all such details, Anna will share with you. Okay. So project related timeline and everything, you can, ma'am, can we message you? Working on it for doubts. Yes, Pari, whatever doubts you have, you can share in the group. And if possible, I'll definitely take all the queries. Okay. Okay, so it was the last session. I hope it was fruitful for you guys. So let's end this last session. Deadline, okay. Anna will share with you deadlines and project related details. Okay. So we are ending this session now.